We are live here on TikTok. Oh, got a guest already. Got the doggy in. Oh, gonna be talking news, politics like we normally do as we're waiting for people to come in. Hello. If nothing else, join for the dog. She decided to make her presence known. Oh. For those of you joining, we're going to be talking news, politics. Got a lot to talk about, a lot of things going on. We got the trade war going on now with Canada and how that's going to be affecting everything. As we're finding out that Canada is putting retaliatory tariffs on. Some things are being pulled from Canadian shelves, I'm hearing. So we'll see how that applies. We've got a lot of things we can talk about. A lot of things going on with the news. Don't know if TJ is going to be out there. We'll see if he joins. One of our moderators, or Rebecca, the other moderator we have. All right, so we got a lot of things going on. We got these tariffs going on. Okay, where are we at? Casey says, I don't understand how Americans let Elon take over. Well, part of the problem is a lot of people weren't paying attention. They were voting for Donald Trump, not realizing that Elon was going to have this much control. I think ultimately it's going to just come down to a matter of time, and Congress is going to have to step in and kick out Donald Trump. They're going to have to do something and kick out Donald Trump. They're going to have to do something to reason. National Republicans come in and say they're going to have to do something to reason. National Republicans come in and say, okay, Donnie, you know, Elon's got to go or else. Something's going to have to come, and they're going to get rid of Elon. But the problem is going to be, what is it going to run us? How long is it going to take us to get Elon out of our systems? He has access to a lot of things that he should have never been granted access to, all while running how long is it going to take us to get Elon out of our systems? He has access to a lot of things that he should have never been granted access to, all while running a government program that doesn't officially exist. Doge is not a real government department. It is something that Donald Trump and Elon Musk made up. They have not been government department. It is something that Donald Trump and Elon Musk made up. They have not been government department. It is something that Donald Trump and Elon Musk made up. They have not been given any sort of issue by Congress. They don't have any power. They don't have any budget. They don't have anything there. It's going to be up to Republicans and or Donald Trump to get rid of Elon. A number says Elon must be removed. I agree. And about the only thing we can do is continue talking long and loud and keeping the narrative going that we're not happy that Elon's involved. Until Republicans step up and do something and get rid of Elon on their own, that's about all we can do. Call your representatives, talk to your senators, write letters, emails, whatever you can do. Tell them they need to do something to get Elon out of politics. Tell them they need to reel in Donald Trump. These tariffs are going to hurt. Now he's talking about adding tariffs in on the European Union. He's already put tariffs on our top 3 biggest trading partners. You had the European Union, and that's basically, you know, the top 4 as far as who we all trade with. This is going to hurt the country. It's going to hurt the economy. Donald Trump does not know what he's doing. He is convinced that tariffs are this magical thing. You say, I'm putting a tariff on Canada, and the money goes from the Canadian Treasury to the American Treasury, and nothing else happens. And that's not how it works. I don't know who you are. I am not co-hosting. That's just not how it works. You put the tariff on, the company bringing the product into the United States pays the tariff, and ultimately it gets, no, I am not co-hosting, gets paid and passed down the line. For us to pay it. Johnny says Elon bought his way in. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I have a moderator out there, so I'll do it myself. You're gone. Bar says Trump is sick. Yeah. Bar says Trump is sick. Yeah. And report just handling a little report just handling a little moderation here. Bear with me. I don't have a that I've seen, unless TJ's out there somewhere. If you're out there, TJ, let me know. Unless TJ's out there somewhere. If you're out there, TJ, let me know. Bren's out there. Minotaur Man says U.S. will win any tariff war. What's the point of that? Why be in it in the first place? War. What's the point of that? Why be in it in the first place? People out who disagree with you. The person I just kicked out was actively saying a lot of people out who disagree with you. The person I just kicked out was actively saying a lot of horrible things, specifically about wanting to operate ovens. If you get the 1940s Germany reference. I wonder why I'm freezing. But yeah, that's why I kicked that guy out and reported his comment. Let's see if I can fix the freezing thing. Let's see if I can fix the freezing thing. So if I can fix the freezing thing. So all right. Yeah. Mumbly Pegasus says, yeah, he's crashing the economy on purpose. Yeah, doing this tariff and the trade war is going to crash the economy. But I think he may want to break it. He even said in a Truth Social post earlier today, well, yeah, there may be some pain, prices may go up, but we'll win in the end. No, we won't. We're going to hurt in the end. But he's going to do this, try to find a way to spin it so it's not his fault that prices have gone up. And then he's going to he'll take the tariffs off and try to say he fixed it. He creates a problem, then fixes the problem he created, and because he wants to be the hero. Tom says the child needs to work so we can get breakfast and lunch at schools. Which way do you mean that? Are you just saying that that's what they've said, or are you agreeing with it? Harry says this is a version of the last time he was in office, but at a faster pace, getting into a recession. Yeah. Castro says they're trying to normalize child labor. They've been trying to do that for a little bit. Even here in Iowa, they passed a law, Republicans did, changing what age people can work at, saying you can legally get a job as young as 12, saying that by state law you're eligible to work in more dangerous fields, things like that. And a few Iowa businesses were told by the Federal Department of Labor under Joe Biden that they still had to follow federal law when it came to labor laws, and didn't, and then were facing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in fines, and saying that, well, it's going to bankrupt me. Well, you should have followed the damn law. Casey says he wants to tank the economy so his buddies can buy it with pennies. Yeah, that's part of it. Castro says, tired of everybody talking about the problem. What's the solution? The solution right now, the short-term solution is we got to be loud, get public support going against Donald Trump, talking to your Congress people, calling your reps, even if they're Republicans, sending them emails, sending them letters, things like that. Changing your opinion. One of the other things that we can do is we've got 3 special elections coming up. One of them for sure is in Florida. I know one's in New York, and I'm not sure where the third one is, but there are 3 Republican seats that are up for grabs because people had resigned to go into the Trump cabinet. If we push hard enough, and Donald Trump keeps fucking up enough, I saw a video by somebody who said they voted for Donald Trump in 16, 20, and 24. And now they can't get employees in Florida. They're in Matt Gaetz' district, the district that is up for special election, and they said it's going to put their business out of business because they can't get people because of nobody wants to show up for work because afraid of deportation. So they said, okay, we see it now. And they claim to be all in, going to be supporting the Democratic candidate to replace Matt Gaetz. That's what we need to do. Harry says he has to be impeached. Yeah, he needs to. I've been hearing, I don't remember where it started, somebody said that a Republican senator, speaking anonymously, didn't want their name on the record, said that if they get articles of impeachment because of the J6 pardons, they have the votes in the Senate to remove Trump. So it could be going. I don't know. We haven't seen any articles of impeachment drafted. But it sounds like, at least behind the scenes, he doesn't have the support that everybody thinks he might. Weasel says the solution is to replace Trump and Musk before they destroy the country. Yeah. Wild Cake says 2 in Florida, 1 in New York. So it's two Florida seats. I couldn't remember where the third one was at. Kelly says, why are the Democrats acting like all of this is normal? Hang on, don't. Haven't seen TJ out there yet. Hey, see Temptations out there. Let's see. And no, just because I'm wearing a red shirt does not mean I'm supporting Trump. Pachuca says, but who's worse? JD Vance will be worse. What do I think? No. Problem with the... Hang on. Okay, that one's gone. JD Vance won't be worse, because JD Vance is at least smart enough to know what he doesn't know. He'll listen to advisors. And congressional Republicans will be able to control JD Vance a lot more than they can control Donald Trump. Because if they just impeached and removed Trump, all they have to do is look at Vance and go, we had the votes once, we can do it again. And Noli, he says, Republican Party will be done if they don't get him out. Trump will ruin their reputation. I'm really surprised that it hasn't happened yet. I really thought Donald Trump was going to take the Republican Party down with him this election. I really thought Kamala would win. And I thought Democrats were going to cruise to retaking the House and, keep the Senate. I never expected to lose, not only lose the Senate, but lose it by 3 seats, lose the House and the presidency. Brent says, what do you think will happen to Elon? I don't know. Ultimately, what's going to probably happen is it's going to come to a head between him and Donald Trump. They're two narcissists. They're not going to be able to coexist together for very long. They're just not. And Elon is going to push his luck with Donald Trump. He's going to say something. Donald Trump's going to get pissed and go, well, I'm the fucking president. You can get out of here. And speaking of getting out of here, Lexi Staff says, who could replace him? If you're talking about who could replace Trump, out of the Republican Party, nobody. Nobody. There is nobody in the Republican Party who can replace Trump. They may be able to say the same things, they may be able to do the same things, but they will not be able to draw the same crowd, the same energy. Donald Trump was the outsider. And when it came to being a New York elite, he was not. They didn't like him as a New York elite. So he was the outsider there. He was always the guy, but he had this tough guy image. You can't duplicate that. Plus, Donald Trump speaks at about a 4th or 5th grade, maybe 6th grade level. He's not educated and doesn't sound educated. Republicans, even the ones that that are Republicans, they speak at a much higher level, and the MAGA voters think they're being talked down to. This user says, I'm a Democrat. We did not have an open primary. We failed the democracy test and got burned. The democracy test. No, we did have an open primary. Joe Biden won the primary. The problem was we had about 8 to 10 days to come up with a candidate after Joe Biden decided to not run because Democrats got scared when he had a bad debate. Clearly debates don't matter because Donald Trump had a horrible debate. Kamala Harris kicked his ass. So debates don't matter. Joe Biden should have stuck in. But Joe Biden, there was a primary. Marianne Williamson and at one point RFK. But Joe Biden, there was a primary. Marianne Williamson and at one point RFK Jr. were Democratic challengers to Joe Biden. And what's his name? Dean Phillips out of Minnesota was also trying to primary Biden. Every place that had a primary, Joe Biden won by 97, 98% of the vote. Pachuca says he didn't show up to most and still got the nomination. Yeah. Joe Biden had the nomination. But the thing is, for some of the people that are saying there wasn't a primary or Kamala Harris got installed, here's my question I've been asking since it happened and since the election. Would they still be saying the same thing if Joe Biden, instead of stepping down the day he did, would you be saying the same thing if Joe Biden had died and Kamala Harris had to become president? She was the logical successor. She was the logical choice. It made sense. She had access to their combined funds for the re-election campaign. She was the one. She had more than enough qualifications to be vice president or president. Multiple terms as attorney general for the state of California. She had been a district attorney. She was in the Senate. She was 4 years vice president. She was more. In what time? You say an open primary, we could have found a better candidate. We had 8 to 10 days from the day Joe Biden stepped aside to find a candidate, or some of the states we wouldn't have had a Democratic candidate on the ballot. We were up against a clock. So they had to go with somebody. They picked Kamala because Joe Biden endorsed her. She was the next likely successor. If Joe Biden had died that day, instead of saying he wasn't going to run for a new term, would we even be having this conversation? We had a real primary. Again, Joe Biden ran in the primary. I don't care if you're a Democrat. You're clearly not listening. Democrats did not have enough time to recover. Kamala did not have enough time to run a strong campaign. No, she ran a pretty good campaign. Problem is, one, her message got lost. Chuka says, did you hear they found a lot of votes they didn't count because not filled out properly for Kamala? No, I hadn't heard that. But no, she ran a good campaign, but her message got lost. There's so much bad stuff about Joe Biden. No, there was some bad stuff that got attached to Joe Biden that she had to deal with. She had to message against the horrible stuff Donald Trump said he was going to do every single day. She had to play defense against the attacks Donald Trump was leveling. And turn around and still try to cover the message to the people. And then you had the people on the far left saying, well, we're not getting everything we want, just like they did with Bernie Sanders the first time when Donald Trump, and said, fuck you, I'm either not voting or I'm not voting for Kamala. And then you add the fact that somebody gave Kamala Harris the idea that, well, we have all of the left-leaning voters locked up, we're good, we're going to win this thing. Let's grab some more while we're at it. Let's try to reach Republicans by campaigning with Liz Cheney. I would say that is the one thing she screwed up in this entire campaign. She spent too much time with Liz Cheney. It should have been a thank you for the endorsement, maybe one or two events, but I really think people thought she was shifting too far to the right by having her around. Harry says, the problem is some American people are not ready for a woman president. That's sad, now you pay. Yeah. And some people weren't, and that is a problem. I really thought we had gotten past that. We are in 2025, not 1825. Kelly says she was a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, vice president. Exactly. Lexi Staff says, will Trump get rid of black SCOTUS judges for racism? No. Can't. He can't. Donald Trump can do nothing to Supreme Court justices unless they resign. That's it. He can't remove them. They could be impeached and removed in the Senate, but that takes 67 votes. Democrats ain't getting on board for removing justices, specifically not Ketanji Brown Jackson. Maybe for Thomas, but that's only because Thomas is a corrupt piece of shit who takes bribes from billionaires. Kelly says she was one of the most qualified to ever run. Exactly. This user says it was all about who's backing who. He had the billionaires. Yeah, but she raised $1 billion from small dollar donors. You would think a lot of money from a lot of people means more support, not a lot of money from one or two people equals a lot of support. Henry in a Plan B says, the Kamala Palestine protesters killed me. Give me a damn break. Yeah. How's that working out? As Donald Trump says he wants to basically cleanse the area, move all the Palestinians out, and force them to relocate into Jordan and Egypt. Kelly says, where were the 19 million that didn't show up? I don't know. Lexi Staff says immunity. Immunity ruling does not apply. The immunity ruling for the president only applies to things that are actual official acts of the president. For example, he signed that executive order on birthright citizenship. Well, that order itself will probably be ruled unconstitutional. The order can be vacated. The order can be overturned by the courts. That part can be reviewed. But he could never be arrested for signing the executive order trying to take away citizenship. It only applies to the things he does as far as him doing them, but those things can still be overturned in the courts, and if it's not part of the presidential duties, the immunity doesn't apply. Pachuca says, feel it was a win and sat it out. For the 19 million, yeah. Part of the problem. They stayed home. They stayed home because they thought for sure Donald Trump was such a horrible candidate there was no way he was going to win. Some of them did that. They did that in 2016 too. They thought for sure that Donald Trump, there's no way he could fall ass backwards into the presidency. Hillary was going to be a cakewalk win, and they didn't like Hillary. So they voted third party, or they didn't vote for president, or whatever. That's what happens. Beatrice says, Elon hacked the computers. Kamala was ahead of Trump. I think Kamala did win. I don't know. That's an interesting idea. It's entirely possible. Lexi says executive orders. Yeah, he can sign executive orders, but those orders can still be overturned, and there's a lot of things that executive orders can't do. Let's see. Yeah, TKS Daddy says, yeah, nothing illegal about him being a totally incompetent child. Yeah, he is. He is a totally incompetent child. Pachuca says, is he trying to stop us from getting passports? Last I heard, they weren't stopping passports. They were only blocking applications for passports for anybody who was trans or who had tried to change their gender on their passport. And I don't even know if that's going to hold up. That may end up getting tossed out in court too. But I haven't heard anything about them blocking all passports. Blackhawk says, was on another live, there was a Trumper that wished they didn't vote for him. I'm hearing that a lot. They're in the find out stage. CC Falcon says, don't follow the shiny objects, it's all a distraction. It's all about tax cuts for the billionaires. Yeah, it is. They want to get those tax cuts through. But a lot of this stuff is they want you to be focused on everything going on all around and not focused on he's not lowering prices. Prices are going up. He's crashing the economy. Lexi Staff says Dow Jones down 1% today, so action imminent. Maybe. But now for the first time in history, 14% of all swing states bullet point vote. Yeah. That was weird. CC Falcon says all politics are about taxes, who pays, who benefits. Yeah. Did we ever find out what the big secret was between Speaker and party? There was no secret. There was no secret. It was all bluster. Kelly says now Elon has locked out Treasury workers. Yeah, I've done a couple videos about the different computer systems he's had in, and I've wondered how many millions or billions of dollars it's going to cost us eventually to get him back out of the systems. Lexi Staff says February 5th protests in 50 states. Join now. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the videos from it. I don't think I'll be able to join in the protests, but looking forward to the videos. Looks by Linda says Trump can't rewrite the Constitution. No, he can't. $4 million illegally dumped from voter rolls by judicial decision. Yeah, that's the other thing. They did a lot of that. They did a lot of voter purges. They changed rules. They did a whole bunch of things because they can't win on policy. They have to win by gerrymandering, convincing people to stay home, by being loud and making people believe that their win is inevitable. Those kind of things. They don't have the policy to win. TKS Daddy says, and 4 million territorial legal voters who can't vote in their territory. Yeah. I would love to see how this election would have changed if all 4 territories had electoral college votes and popular vote. Would have been different. Would have been a different story. Lexi Staff says, the overwhelm strategies are deliberate. Yes, they are. Blackhawk says huge depression coming. Yep, it is. And I already blocked you. Brent says, so Canada is going toe-to-toe with him. Yep, they are. They're not backing down. They're not scared of him. They're not giving in to his demands. Now he's probably going to go through and he'll get some minor to his demands. Now he's probably going to go through and he'll get some minor win, claim victory, blow it out of proportion. He normally does. But they're not backing down. CC Falcon says, billionaires have fooled the MAGA types into voting against their own best interest. Yes, they did. Do you think the tax cut's going through? Don't know. Democrats aren't going to vote for it, and Republicans aren't on the same page. They can barely lose any votes right now in the House with things being the way they are. And they do things like kick Mike Turner off the Intelligence Committee, and he goes, well, fuck you. I'm never voting for a Republican again. Or voting for anything Republican again. Still a Republican. I'll still caucus with you so you don't lose the majority, but I ain't siding with you. Now we've got special elections coming. 2 in Florida, 1 in New York. They're, I believe, all in supposed to be safe Republican districts. But special elections get weird. Just look at last week here in Iowa. We had a special election for a state race. 8 Republican districts. But special elections get weird. Just look at last week here in Iowa. We had a special election for a state race. A district that Donald Trump won by 21 points was flipped blue in a special election. If we flip 1 or 2 of those, if we flip like 2 of the special election seats and Mike Turner goes, yeah, you know what? Fuck the Republicans. I'm going Democratic. We have the House. If we flip 2 and Mike Turner just says, I'm voting against everything, nothing gets through the House without Democratic support. Anything could happen in those special elections. We really need to be focused on them. TKS Daddy says Elon has absolutely no authority to even see those. He should now be locked up for life for national security. Yeah, he shouldn't be into the computer systems he is. But Donald Trump said, yeah, it's okay. And the people that have been trying to block him are getting threatened by threatened to have the marshals called and getting threatened with losing their jobs, getting suspended, put on leave. Corruption at its finest. CC Falcon says billionaires and corporations want us all at each other's throat while they loot and pollute. Pretty much. TKS Daddy says all Elon assistants who have seen data should now be locked up. Yeah? Bugaboo says I watch you in Rational Boomer. Well, thank you. I love being a guest over on the Rational Boomer podcast. TKS Daddy says illegal voter roll dumps, but judge statements too close to correct. Kelly says Elon is not elected to anything. How is it legal for him to be able to access our treasury? Pretty much because Donald Trump said so. And no, the Republicans aren't pushing back today. Pachuca says if we were voting today, who would win? If the election today was between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, with the way the last 2 weeks have gone, I guarantee you Kamala would have won. Pachuca says, so is Mexico. She's pretty good. Yeah, Mexico's pushing back too. Lexi Seth says Dow Jones is down today. Recession looming. Yup. Charles says move to Canada. Can't move to Canada. Stuck here. And we're in this fight. I'm gonna see it through. I think it's gonna be bad for a bit. Then I think something's gonna give. Donald Trump's gonna be out. We're gonna go back to business less chaotic. I wouldn't say business as usual, but less chaotic. Let's see. Brent says, interesting to see if power gets shut off. Yeah, that may be what it takes to get the Republicans in Congress off their asses and doing something. TKS Daddy says maybe some Republicans might actually be Republicans or in shock about the markets. All Republicans are showing themselves pro-treason by not doing anything. If Musk isn't stopped, everyone loses. Yeah. Hey, there's TJ. TJ's in the house now. Hey, you're good, TJ. Brent says, has anybody heard, is the First Lady starting her job working with the children? No. Mary says Dow Jones isn't open on Sundays. No, but there is futures trading, and that is the part that is down. Did you vote for the old man? No, I did not. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I have never voted for Donald Trump. TKS study says California and states to the north should go to Canada and hope they let Illinois in. Chad says, what is he doing so wrong? Please explain. Okay. He has repeatedly violated his oath of office. He swore an oath, raised his hand in the air, did not place it on his other hand on the Bible, and swore to uphold the Constitution, and has repeatedly walked all over it. He has signed an executive order trying to end birthright citizenship, which is specifically guaranteed in very plain English in the 14th Amendment. It says any person born here is a citizen. He tried to overrule that. He is starting a trade war with 3 of our biggest trading partners and is threatening a 4th with more tariffs. He is threatening the sanctity of multiple independent countries by talking about doing a soft invasion of Mexico to go after the cartels. He's talked about trying to acquire Canada as the 51st state, acquire Greenland, maybe by force if necessary, maybe retake the Panama Canal by force if necessary. He fired the FAA chief on his first day and the FAA regulatory board. And now we've had 3 airline incidents, 1 mid-air collision, when we haven't had a mid-air collision in 16 years. Put a hiring freeze on all federal positions and said, we're not hiring anybody. Then came out and said, well, yeah, okay, I'm wrong. I'm not wrong, but you misunderstood me. These positions aren't actually affected by the freeze. We're still hiring there because the optics look bad. He tried to pause all federal spending everywhere, exceeding his authority when Congress has the power of the purse. Is he doing that so wrong? The only time he's ever done something even close to right was a little bit of time he was playing golf, because then he wasn't doing anything to the country. My Bella girl says, how can we get him out? Put pressure on Congress to impeach and remove him. TKS Daddy says, Trump just put a tariff again. 65% of U.S. only considered domestic. If he steals trillions, would that destroy the global economy? Yeah. If he steals trillions of dollars from the United States, yes, it would. Because we fund a lot of things all over the world. We do. And when our spending isn't flooding into the world market, that makes a difference. And when our spending isn't flooding into the world market, that makes a difference. And countries are going to have to figure things out. Mary says, don't rely on polls anymore. They're either colluded or capitulated. Yeah. Pachuca says, I can't believe all of his nominees are getting through. Makes things worse for us. All of his nominees have not gotten through, though. We still haven't had votes on RFK, Kash Patel, or Tulsi Gabbard. Those come this week. And I don't think any of them get through. I think they're going to be closer than they should be. They probably fail 47-53, 48-52, something like that. I was surprised Hegseth got through, but now with Trump doing the tariffs, with the backlash from the spending freeze, I think Congress and Senate Republicans may say Donald Trump a message and just say, yeah, no, we're not letting a couple of these through, just to show that, hey, we're still a co-equal branch. No, we're not letting a couple of these through, just to show that, hey, we're still a co-equal branch. Yes, Mexican production. Yeah. We get a lot of oil from both countries. And I saw in early day trading and on the foreign markets, oil is actually going up per price per barrel, which means gas price is going to be going up. Donnie fucked up again. Rebecca's in the house. Hey, Rebecca. Oh, I forgot TJ's back in the house. Got rid of that one. And the 14th Amendment is part of the Constitution. Exactly. Let's see. JD says, we never had the Panama Canal. Really, no. It was all just an agreement where it was still Panama's. They still owned the canal. We just ran and operated it. Blackhawks is trying to take away citizenship from Native Americans. His DOJ is arguing in court. Yeah, they are. Okay. Yeah, they're trying. Let's see. JD says, will JD Vance be as bad? He's definitely smarter than Trump. No, he won't be nearly as bad. Smart isn't dangerous, as my Bella girl points out. He's at least smart enough to know what he doesn't know. He'll listen to advisors. And if they have to impeach and remove Trump, JD Vance would be a little more controllable, because he's going to look at it more than likely and go, oh shit, if I fuck this up, they'll do the same thing to me. He will listen to people. He will listen to experts. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I get. But they're going to have to walk a tightrope, because he doesn't want to also be associated with all the crazy shit of Donald Trump if he wants to have a chance to get his own terms. Deegan says, are you sure about that? I think they will sail through. As far as his nominees, RFK bombed in his couple of hearings. Tulsi Gabbard bombed. I don't think those two get through. Who was the other one? Kash Patel. I don't think Kash Patel gets through. I really don't. I think it's going to be closer than it probably should be. But I think they're going to send the president a message saying, hey, you don't get to tell us what to do. Especially when you're being so dumb, with some of the other shit. Do I think the Democrats have a chance to take the Senate in 26? It's possible. It is entirely possible. The map is better for Democrats. They're not defending as many bad seats because, we knew West Virginia was going to be a loss. West Virginia was going to be a loss. We had John Tester in Montana. I thought he was going to pull through, but you had Tester in Montana. Democrats aren't fighting in red states right now, where we're probably not going to win. So they can pick one or two states. They only need to flip 3-4 seats to win. I think there's a better chance. I just think the map's more in their favor. JD will go down like Gerald Ford. Yeah, just after Nixon, Gerald Ford got in, wasn't able to get reelected. Sue says JD's part of Project 2025. I think there needs to be some lawsuit to get them all the hell out. Problem is, there's no mechanics in the government to do that. There isn't. The only thing that could be done would be for, Congress to impeach and remove Trump and Vance together, but then Speaker of the House becomes president. And the only way that benefits Democrats is if they do it after midterms and it becomes Hakeem Jeffries. So there's no mechanism to remove them both. There just isn't. Did Bondi get through? They have not had the vote on Pam Bondi yet. JD says, I think Congress is starting to get worried. They'll push back. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to push back when it's convenient. They have to get reelected, and they put somebody through like an RFK Jr., especially if it goes through, he's not going to get a single Democratic vote. So if he gets through, all the senators that vote for him that are up for election are going to have to answer for it, especially if he does a lot of damage to health and human services. So I think they will push back. JD says they have put her vote off like 3 times for Pam Bondi. Yeah, I think it's because they are worried that they don't have the votes to get her through. When will Republicans ditch Mike Johnson? They'll ditch Mike Johnson probably after the next funding deal. He'll have to work with Democrats to pass it, even though they have both houses of Congress and the presidency. He'll work with Democrats, get something through. Republicans won't get the cuts they want, or the tax extension that they want, or the debt ceiling increase, none of it. And they'll get some amount of debt ceiling increase, but not the unlimited debt ceiling that Donald Trump wants. But they'll get it through. Donald Trump will sign it, and then they'll kick Mike Johnson to the curb. It'll happen. Because they still think they're invulnerable. They're acting like they have the House by 60, 70, 80 seats, not 3. They're overplaying their hand. Deegan says, why is it that Democrats, federal, or anyone come up and save us from Trump? Yeah. They can only do so much. Democrats aren't in power right now. They have to work from the minority, which changes how they can operate. Flyfish says Trump's ego will remove Musk. Yes, it will. They will end up butting heads, and ultimately Musk will be the one to leave. Brent says Mitch McConnell is quiet. Flyfish says McConnell is like, the job's done, I'm out. That seemed reasonable for my legacy. Well, yeah, and he's out of leadership. He's got 2 years left. He's not running for re-election as of right now. He's going to coast, but he is going to push against some things. I really thought his no vote on Hegseth would have gotten a few more Republicans to say no, but maybe that's all coming. Hey, Jules. Flyfish says, Democrats have a nice chance to retake. Our democracy is fickle and swings back and forth. It is, but if Donald Trump fucks things up as bad as a lot of people think he will, we could be staring at about what happened with FDR after the Great Depression and 20 years of Democratic control. Entirely possible, especially if the Democrats come in with the right type of a message and they actually do what Joe Biden was trying to do, build the middle class from the bottom up and the middle out, and crow about their programs, and they're actually doing things, but they need to be things that make immediate differences. It's Mr. Suave de Boner saying Johnson will be their scapegoat. Yeah, he will. They'll get um, their funding deal through, and then he'll get kicked to the curb. Then they'll spend 3 weeks getting somebody new. Then the next funding deal will come around, and that person will get kicked to the curb. You know, with any luck, though, by the time the spending deal comes and they kick Johnson to the curb, maybe the Democrats will have taken all three special elections and we can get Hakeem Jeffries in. I know it's a long shot, but would love to see it. Jules says, "Hey Eric, why is Congress not doing anything about the overreach of Doge?" Um, I don't know. They need to do a lot more. They need to push back against this. As I've said a couple times, what's it going to cost us to get Musk out of our systems permanently? Make sure there's no secret backdoor access in that he still has access to this or that. What copies of information does he have? How do we know that it hasn't been copied and transmitted to some other place? Well, we don't know. This is one hell of a security breach, if you ask me. And I'm surprised the Republicans aren't more concerned about it. Maybe it's only because a lot of politicians on both sides of the aisle are old as shit and don't realize how bad this actually could be. William Campbell says blue wave incoming. Yeah. Uh, Pachuca says, "What about Ukraine? Did we stop all funding?" I don't think we did. I think they're still funding Ukraine, but Donald Trump wants to put a bunch of conditions on Ukraine. Um, and we'll see if he ends up coming up with a deal. But what happened to it could be done within 24 hours of him getting elected. Not inaugurated, elected. And now he says it's going to take months to come to a ceasefire deal. So again, where are the left-leaning Democrats who voted for or didn't vote at all that voted for Donald Trump or wouldn't vote for Kamala because, oh, the wars are going on? Give me a break. Robert Paul says, "I hear Bannon and Musk are head-to-head." Yeah. Bannon said before the election he was gonna have Musk gone before the inauguration. Well, we see he failed there. Typical of MAGAs, they fail at everything they do. Flyfish says democracy is up to the people. We forget that we are part of the problem. It's on us. Yeah. Um, it is. And one of the things we need to remember, uh, we have a lot of power. We need to do a better job of mobilizing, a better job of voting. And Republicans are fucking their own base over, cutting off their nose to spite their face. Blackhawk says, they've met Bannon and Musk. Would love to see them fighting. Can I sell tickets? I'll sell the tickets. Maybe we put TJ in a ref shirt and just let them go 10 rounds in a boxing ring. We'd make a bunch of money. They get to beat the hell out of each other. We'd call it a day. JD says, Dems elect Ken Martin for DNC chair. That's a good sign. Um, yeah, and then who'd they pick for the vice chair? It's a young kid. I can't think of his name, but he's a young member of the House, which youth is a good sign. We got to get these fossils out of here. Princess Hakim's a good leader. I got some issues with uh, Hakeem Jeffries too, and that's because you know he's supposed to be the minority leader. He's supposed to be the one calling the shots for the Democrats. Yet it seems like he's just a puppet, and Nancy Pelosi is, making his mouth move in some cases. We'll see though. Mars says February 5th, each state capital at noon are protests against Trump and Project 2025. Oh. Let's see. Flyfish says people who are listening, build your communities, even if it's just one person. Educate, resist. Yeah. And I'm going to throw this out there. I'll mention it again when I decide to wrap up. Follow the creators you like, not just here on TikTok. Find them everywhere they are, because we don't know if TikTok's going to go away. So build those communities on other platforms. If you're already, scrolling YouTube Shorts or whatever, and you know, share the creators there as well. If you're on Clapper, if you're on whatever, share the people you like everywhere. I know some of you guys follow me on other places as well, and I do appreciate that. Adam Coast says the only thing that can be done at this point is to put Elon in a black site. Maybe. Sue says all the more reason to have age limits. Let's see the real Trump taxes. Yeah. Frida says Musk and his minions had access to classified material at UAIDS. Yeah, and the people that tried to prevent it were threatened with getting arrested by U.S. Marshals. Who's taking wagers on how soon Trump passes his last lie count? I don't want to take that bet. I'm a gambling man. If you can't see there, I got poker chips up on the wall. And even I don't want to take that bet, because I'm pretty sure, no matter how early I say he's going to pass his last lie count, I'm going to be wrong. And it's going to be way sooner than we thought. Did you hear about Zelensky saying 100 billion missing from 177 Joe Biden sent him? No, I didn't. Trump could not be impeached because he was just a president-elect. What about now? Oh yeah, now he can be impeached. Definitely. And his second time, they voted to not convict him, to acquit him on the charges during his second impeachment at the end of his term for the J6 stuff. Mitch McConnell said, "Well, he's out of office. We really don't think we should convict him. That's a criminal matter. We'll deal with him in the criminal courts." They kicked the can over to the Democrats, hoping the Democrats wouldn't drop the ball and actually investigate and convict him on the criminal side. That way, he'd be in prison and out of office, so they didn't have to go against the dear leader. Even though if they would have, we wouldn't be in this position. They wanted to let somebody else clean up their mess. Brent says Pelosi should retire and enjoy the rest of her years. Yes, she should. Mr. Suave says if world leaders have a dispute, instead of war, leaders should have to get into a boxing ring and duke it out. JD says, I don't know why old person wants to be in Congress anyway. Yeah, look at, I talk about him all the time. My senator here from Iowa, Chuck Grassley, 90 fucking 1. He has already filed the paperwork to run again in 2028 when he will be 95 years old. If he makes it to 28 and he wins re-election, if he were to live through that next term, he'd be 101. Why do we need a 101-year-old in Congress? It's ridiculous. Oh, Sue was just talking about the older members maybe not understanding how bad Elon is doing. Yeah, exactly. He just says age limits better than term limits. Yeah. Matt says Garland waited too long. Meanwhile, it says insider trading is why they don't leave Congress. That's part about it. And it's Adam says it's all about power. Once they get it, they don't want to give it up. Yeah, that's half the thing. Once they have the levers of power, they don't want to give it up. They want to keep it all and think only they can run the government. Only they know how. No sense letting somebody else have control. You know, they forget that they were once the new person in Congress too. JD says chocolate chip cookie Grassley. Yeah, what he's talking about there is I make this comment a lot. Chuck Grassley was born in 1933. The first printing of the chocolate chip cookie was in 1938. The first printing of a chocolate chip cookie recipe. Chuck Grassley is older than the goddamn chocolate chip cookie, and he's in Congress. He's the one making laws. Deegan says, why are Democrats so passive, scary, afraid of any fights? Problem with Democrats, they want to play politics by the way politics used to work. They have not adapted to the new guard, to the new ways, in part because they keep old people around and they want to run things like it did in the 1970s. The world's changed. Matt says, Dems have a big tent to please. Yeah. Yeah, they do. They do have a big tent to please. Basically, everybody who's not MAGA anymore falls under the Democratic umbrella. And the problem is you can't give everybody what they want with one candidate. And you have parts of this big caucus that say, well, if we don't get our way, we're not voting with you. And then we end up with Republicans in charge. Joel says, I agree, Chuck Grassley is old, but so far he has outmaneuvered Turtle. To be fair, he seems to be in better health and in better condition than Mitch McConnell. But he's still too damned old. But people in Iowa keep voting for him because they think having, this long-term senator who's been in office longer than I have been alive is good for the state. They think his tenure being around that long, helps Iowa in some way. Even though he's not on any of the agricultural or farming committees, he's on the Judiciary Committee now. JD says, Mitch McConnell almost sounds like the voice of reason now. Isn't that scary? Yeah, when Mitch McConnell or Rand Paul are the voices of reason coming out of the Republican Party, hell, there are quotes from Reagan coming back that are going against things that Donald Trump is trying to do. And Reagan fucked things up for this country ridiculously. We haven't recovered from Reagan in some ways. Excuse me. Mima says, is Iowa a Republican state? It is right now. They have complete control, both houses of the Iowa legislature and governor. And oh boy, are they fucking it up. Jules says it's not good for the state, and that's not a typo. Yeah. Mima says Rand Paul is going after Dr. Fauci. Yeah, that's the point. For some things, Rand Paul is sounding like the voice of reason, but he's still a Republican, and he's still not all there. Like, he's still doing bad things. But when he's one of the voices of reason, that's pretty damn bad. Same with Mitch McConnell. Waiting to see how bad the economy tanks on Monday, tomorrow, to see what happens. With this trade war looming, future projections are already down. Friday, all of the gains for the day were wiped out the minute Donald Trump said they were doing tariffs. I mean, he had a pretty good economy. It was rolling, and then he had to fuck it all up. Chuka says that it only took him days. Yeah, it only took him days to fuck it all up. Why? Because he's dumb. He is dumb. He is incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't have any magical special knowledge because he was president. JD says tariffs contributed to the stock crash. Yeah, it literally within minutes of him announcing that they were going to be put on and saying, well, there's nothing they either place could do to change his mind about him, stock market immediately just starts going right down, wiped out all the gains for the day within minutes. Machuca says he thought he was going to punk these countries. That boy, they showed him, yeah, they're these countries aren't backing down to him. Not at all. They're standing up to him. And Jules says, my favorite FU is that he thought the Corps of Engineers meant he sent the military to California. Well, he did, but he also didn't. And he's fucked over those farmers downstream from those dams. He did. By increasing the water flow, he was risking flash flooding. They had to negotiate, the farmers had to negotiate with the Army Corps of Engineers to change the levels of water, because if they would have gone full open, it would have been a flash flood. But now, because he's released the water now, that is water that they won't have for irrigation later this summer. Let's see. Eva says these evangelicals push. Let's see. Eva says these evangelicals pushed the orange man in the pulpit. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. At this rate, the most common orange we can find to eat is the president. Yeah. Little Panther says we're in the beginnings of a gilded age and it will not end well. No, it's not. It's not going to end well for us. The money elites are going to try to do what they did before, and every time that happens, the last Gilded Age ended in the Great Depression, and then we turned around and we built up some of the best things about this country. A tax rate of 97% on the wealthy. We had a minimum wage that was actually a living wage. We installed Social Security. We had, the beginnings of all of that. That's why we got the FDIC, the federal, more federal protections for a lot of things. So when we do come out the other side, there's going to be a lot of good things coming out on that side of it, but we got to get there first. JD says, I feel bad for those that can't raise a garden to make up for the upcoming produce shortage. Yeah. In part, the produce shortage, if there isn't one, the produce is going to be just so expensive because of the tariffs and the added costs that it's not going to matter that we have them. We can't afford them. And for the stuff that we produce here in this country, yeah, there's probably going to be some shortages because people aren't picking the crops. Little Panther says, who's going to clean up the mess when that crypto crash comes? And TJ says there will be one. Yeah, there will. Crypto's going to crash. There's nothing backing crypto. And you could say the same about the American dollar, except there is one thing that is backing the dollar. And that is the full faith of the U.S. government that it's always going to be worth something. Full faith of the U.S. government that it's always going to be worth something. Frida says Trump has stated that revenue from tariffs can replace the federal income tax. Trump says a lot, but revenue from tariffs can replace the federal income tax. Trump says a lot, but no, but no, let's see. Meemaw says, I thought machinery picked crops. Everything is digital. No. Some things you cannot pick with machinery. They don't have a machine that is capable of picking strawberries, for example, without crushing the strawberry and being able to tell which berry is ripe versus which one's not, which tomato's ripe versus which one's not. They only use the machinery for like the big things. Corn, your soybeans, hay. The stuff that when it's time, you're taking all of it. You're not picking bits and pieces here and there. Yeah, JD says grain is harvested with machines, produce is not. Yeah. And for those saying, well, they'll just hire American workers. They won't hire Americans. Won't go out and work in a lot of cases for the wages being offered. Well, the white Americans, the ones that are screaming loudest about the jobs these people are actually doing being stealing American jobs. Meanwhile, says car factory have robot making cars now. Yeah, that's been going on for 20 plus years. It's been heading that way for a long time. That hasn't changed anything. Chill in the back says no more Crown Royal Canadian whiskey stocked fully. Yeah. Little Panther says immigrants are keystone species. Our biosphere will fall apart. Kind of. It's an interesting way of phrasing that, but yeah, I kind of like the analogy. Rebecca says they haven't figured out how to pick the perfect ripe tomatoes with a machine yet. Yeah. Matt says they'll hire American convicts to do the work for 25 cents an hour. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what a lot of people are saying is they want to go back to doing it. They want to use prisoners to replace the missing labor. I guess we'll see if they actually do or not. Frida says Canadians are giving up Tennessee sour mash. Yeah, they're pulling a lot of American products from shelves, but a lot of their tariffs, they are specifically targeting things that come out of red states. They know our politics almost better than we do. They're being smart about it, but this doesn't help anybody. So then Donald Trump's going to respond with even more tariffs. And then Canada will come back with even more, all while nothing's getting accomplished. And, it hurts everybody all around. Besides, in the 90s, we negotiated NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, okay? We agreed with Mexico and Canada that none of the three of us would put tariffs on the other. Done deal. Donald Trump comes along in his first term, says, oh, that's a horrible deal. I can get us a better deal. Pulls us out of NAFTA. Negotiates a new treaty. And it's effectively NAFTA with a couple things changed. And none of those changes are important. And a new name. Go, see, I got us a much better deal. Signs the damn thing, and now has violated the deal he agreed to. But since when has Donald Trump ever agreed to a contract and stuck to it? That man walks through contracts like nothing. He refuses to pay his workers. He reneges on deals all the time. Whatever's good for him. So, we will see what ultimately comes out of these tariff deals. Little Panther says, we have lost so much of our moral capital around the world. Yeah, and in 2 short weeks. 2 very short weeks. Not even. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. And we have lost a lot of standing around the world. Donald Trump doesn't understand how any of it works. Like, he wants to pull us out of the World Health Organization based on how much we pay. Well, what he doesn't understand is most of that payment was stuff we agreed to voluntarily because it gave us more power within the world. Frida says, how has Trump gotten away with so much for so long? Well, because the one thing Donald Trump has been able to do is always brand himself. JD says, I wonder how we will rebuild from this. We're nothing more than a pariah on the world stage now. Well, the rebuilding starts by getting somebody better than Donald Trump in. Remember when we elected Joe Biden, not only was there celebrations in the streets, there were celebrations around the world that Donald Trump was gone. Got to Go says no in the last 4 years. What do you mean by that? Jewel says it will take at least 4 years to fix what has happened in the last few weeks. Very well could. It could take a decade. It could take a couple. But I think when we come out on the other side, we'll have to fix a lot of the issues. And then they're going to put a lot of safeguards in place that Congress likes to come back out of it. And, you know, they're never precautionary. They're always reactionary. And they'll react to Donald Trump and they'll make some changes and they'll shore things up. And then, you know, in 40 or 50 years, somebody else will come along and find another way to break the system. JD says this will bring out a lot of changes in the future, come out stronger on the other side. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, Nixon was bad. And, you know, there were a lot of things that changed on the backside of Nixon where we came out stronger. And not always is it that change happens because things are bad. Sometimes change happens because they're good. They have, like with FDR got elected to 4 terms. Well, we came out on the other side of FDR way better than we started because of FDR, but they still said, wait a minute, we need to change here. Four terms is way too long. We need to back that off. Little Panther says we could come out stronger, or it could be like long COVID. You won't ever get over it. No, we'll get over it. We'll get through it. We have survived horrible presidents before. Jewel says Nixon's government abuse was child's play compared to now. Yeah, I'd probably agree. But back then, Republicans actually had a backbone and they were willing to stand up to their own party and tell them no. Nixon only resigned because he was told they had the votes to toss him out of office. JD says, we have literally been at war with ourselves. We survived that. We can survive this. Yeah, we did. We survived a civil war. This is still going to be better than a civil war. Little Panther says Nixon was stopped because the GOP had members with a backbone. We don't have them anymore. Yeah, the Republicans called Nixon and said, yeah, we got the votes to remove you. And we got the votes to impeach you. Your call, buddy. And he went, oh shit. So I'm going to resign. So it looks like it's my choice. And his narcissism had him bow out, not necessarily gracefully, but bow out instead of getting tossed out. JD says, will they give Trump the Nixon treatment? I don't think so, because Trump won't take it. If you mean giving him the option to resign, Trump won't take it. His ego won't allow him to accept that kind of deal. Little Panther says the Senate is always rigged for a Republican. No, not always. I am Scorpio says he needs to resign or get forced out. There's going to come a point when the Republicans are going to make that call. But they will not make that call until they absolutely have to. When they think they're going to make that call, when they think it has finally gotten to the point when it is close enough to the election that the people are going to remember and vote against them, or that they're going to vote for them. Whatever way they think it's more beneficial for them in the next election is when they will make that call. If they think leaving Trump in till closer to the election and looking like the hero for ousting him will be more beneficial, that's what they'll do. If they think ousting him now and letting people get used to having somebody else in is what's going to help them get reelected, that's what they'll do. Little Panther says Dakotas get 4 senators, Texas and California get 4 senators. Not ever going to be fair. Well, the thing about that is, that's the way it's designed. That's the way it was designed from the beginning. There's even language when in Article 5 of the Constitution about the amendment process. It says you can't change the number of senators per state. Well, you can change the number, but they would always be equal. So like all they could do is instead of 2, they could go to 3. But they will always have to be equal. And there cannot be an amendment that makes it unequal like the House. What niche or specific issues do you like reading about? I don't know. I'm just following all the news right now. Oh, good puppy. Yeah, I'm probably going to go for a few more minutes here. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Oof. Oh. Okay, come here. Oh, come here. There we go. Puppy. You get the puppy tax this time. Isn't she cute? Oh, goodness. You're such a cute puppy. She is adorable, yes. Yes, yes.